My CEO said my contract renewal was non-negotiable. The board policy said all contractor agreements required their approval. Both statements were made in the same week. I received the contract amendment on a Monday morning. HR sent it. 20% reduction in my hourly rate. No explanation, just, please sign and return by Friday. I'd been working at the manufacturing facility for 3 years. Started as a temporary quality control specialist, extended twice, then converted to a long-term contractor. My current rate was $75 per hour. The new contract offered $60, a cut of $15 per hour, $3,000 per month, $36,000 per year. The email came from Victoria in HR. Subject line, contract renewal, updated terms. She wrote that the company was adjusting contractor rates to align with market standards. She thanked me for my flexibility. She said the new terms reflected current budget constraints. I opened the attachment. The contract was identical to my existing one, except for the rate. Same scope, same responsibilities, same reporting structure. Just less money. I called Victoria. She answered on the third ring. I received the contract amendment, I said. Great. Do you have any questions? Why is the rate being reduced? Market adjustment. We're standardizing contractor compensation across the facility. Are other contractors being adjusted? I can't discuss other employees' contracts. When was this decision made? Recently. The CEO approved it last week. Does the board know? The board doesn't review individual contractor agreements. Are you certain? Yes, this is an operational decision. I thanked her and hung up. Then I opened the company's governance policies, found Section 4.7, Contractor Agreements and Approvals. Read it twice. Beth, one of the production managers, said as she passed my desk, "Everything okay?" "Fine," I said. I didn't tell her what I'd just found. I opened my files and started documenting. Section 4.7 was 12 paragraphs long. I'd read it once before. When I first signed my contractor agreement 3 years ago, it had seemed like standard corporate procedure at the time. Now I read it carefully. Section 4.7, Contractor Agreements and Approvals. All contractor agreements exceeding $100,000 in annual value must be submitted to the Board Compensation Committee for review and approval. This includes initial contracts, renewals, and material amendments to existing agreements. Material amendments include changes to compensation rates, scope of work, or term length. I calculated my current annual contract value, $75 per hour, 40 hours per week, 50 weeks per year. Total, $150,000. The proposed contract was $60 per hour. Same hours, same term. New total, $120,000. Both values exceeded the $100,000 threshold. Both required board approval. I checked my email archive, found my original contract from 3 years ago. The approval chain included Victoria from HR, the CEO, and a board member named Dr. Patricia Chen, chair of the Compensation Committee. Her signature appeared at the bottom of the approval document. I searched for my first renewal, 18 months ago. Same approval chain. Victoria, CEO, Dr. Chen. I opened the new contract amendment Victoria had sent. Approval signatures. Victoria, CEO. No board signature. No Dr. Chen. I took screenshots of all 3 documents, saved them in a folder labeled Contract History. Then I checked the company's board meeting schedule. The Compensation Committee met quarterly. Last meeting, November 8th. Next meeting, February 7th. Today was November 21st. I checked the November 8th meeting minutes. They were posted on the company's governance portal, available to all employees and contractors. I downloaded the document, searched for my name. Not found. Searched for contractor compensation. Not found. Searched for rate adjustments. Not found. The meeting had covered executive compensation, stock option grants, benefits policy updates. Nothing about contractor rates. I saved the meeting minutes, opened a new document, started a timeline. November 8th. Board Compensation Committee meeting. No discussion of contractor rate reductions. November 14th. CEO approved my contract amendment per Victoria's statement. November 21st. Victoria sent me the amended contract, claimed board approval wasn't required. I saved the timeline. Then I reviewed the deadline Victoria had given me. Sign and return by Friday. That was November 25th, 4 days away. I didn't sign. I didn't respond to Victoria's email. I continued working. The facility operated on a strict production schedule. My role involved quality control on the assembly line. I inspected components, documented defects, coordinated with production managers when issues arose. The work was technical, detail-oriented, required knowledge of manufacturing standards and safety protocols. I had built that knowledge over 3 years, knew the equipment, knew the processes, knew which defects mattered and which were cosmetic. The production managers relied on my assessments. Tuesday afternoon, one of them stopped by my station. "We're seeing higher reject rates on the hydraulic assemblies," he said. "Can you review the inspection criteria?" I pulled up the specifications, walked him through the measurement tolerances. "These 3 components are outside acceptable range," I said. "They need to be scrapped." He nodded, made notes. "Thanks. I'll update the line supervisor." He left. I returned to my inspection queue. Wednesday morning, Victoria sent a follow-up email. Subject: Contract Amendment. Reminder. "Hi, I wanted to follow up on the contract amendment sent Monday. The deadline for signature is Friday, November 25th. Please let me know if you have any questions. If we don't receive your signed agreement by the deadline, we'll need to discuss next steps." I read it twice, noted the phrase, "next steps." Didn't respond. Thursday, I received another email, this one from the CEO, James Morrison. Subject: Contract Renewal. "I understand HR has sent you an updated contract for 2024. I wanted to reach out personally to thank you for your contributions to our facility. The rate adjustment reflects current market conditions and budget constraints. I hope you'll continue working with us under the new terms. Please confirm receipt of this email." I replied, "Received. Thank you." Nothing more. Friday arrived. The deadline. I didn't sign the contract. I came to work at my normal time, 7 o'clock, completed my inspections, documented my findings. At 4 o'clock, Victoria called me. I answered. "I haven't received your signed contract," she said. "That's correct. The deadline was today." "I'm aware. Do you intend to sign?" "I'm still reviewing the terms." "There's nothing to review. The terms are final." "I'd like to understand the approval process." "I already explained. The CEO approved the amendment." "What about the board?" "The board doesn't review contractor agreements." Section 4.7 of the governance policy says otherwise. "Where did you see that?" "The company governance portal. It's publicly posted." "I'm not familiar with that section." "It states that contracts exceeding $100,000 require compensation committee approval." "I'll need to check with our legal team." "Please do. In the meantime, what's your position on the contract?" "I'm waiting to understand the proper approval process." "The contract deadline has passed. If you don't sign, we may need to terminate the agreement. Is that your decision or the CEO's? It's company policy. Which policy? She didn't answer immediately. Then, I'll get back to you. She hung up. I saved notes from the conversation. Date, November 25th. Victoria called. I referenced section 4.7. She claimed unfamiliarity, threatened contract termination. I continued working. The following week was quiet. No email from Victoria, no call from the CEO. I completed my regular work: inspections, documentation, quality reports. No one mentioned the contract. Monday, December 5th, I received a meeting invitation. Subject: discussion, contract status. Organizer: Victoria. Attendees: me, Victoria, and James Morrison, CEO. Scheduled for December 8th. I accepted. December 8th arrived. The meeting was in a small conference room, ground floor of the administrative building. I arrived 5 minutes early. Victoria and James were already there. I sat down. James started. "Thank you for meeting with us. We wanted to discuss your contract situation." I nodded. "Victoria tells me you have concerns about the approval process." "Yes. Section 4.7 requires board approval for contracts over $100,000. My contract exceeds that threshold." "I'm aware of Section 4.7. It applies to executive employment contracts, not contractor agreements." "The policy doesn't specify employment contracts. It says contractor agreements." He glanced at Victoria. She spoke. "The intent of that policy is for high-level executive roles, not operational contractors." "That's not what the policy states." "We interpret it based on standard practice." "Has the board confirmed this interpretation?" James leaned forward. "Look, we're not trying to create a problem here. The rate adjustment is reasonable, market-driven. We value your work, but we need to align costs with budget realities. I understand budget constraints. I'm asking whether the proper approval process was followed." "I approved it. As CEO, that's my authority." "Does the compensation committee agree?" "They don't need to review every contractor agreement. The policy suggests otherwise." He sat back. "What exactly are you asking for?" "I'm asking that the contract amendment be submitted to the compensation committee for review. If they approve the rate reduction, I'll accept it." "That's unnecessary. It's what the policy requires." "You're being difficult about this." "I'm following company policy." He exchanged another look with Victoria. "If you don't sign the contract, we'll need to end the agreement. We can't continue without a signed contract in place." "When would that termination be effective?" "End of December. We'll give you 4 weeks' notice." "And if the board determines the rate reduction wasn't properly approved?" "That's not going to happen." "But hypothetically." "This conversation is over." He stood, left the room. Victoria remained seated. "You're making a mistake," she said. "I'm requesting policy compliance. No one else questions these decisions. That doesn't make them correct." She gathered her papers, left. I sat alone in the conference room for a moment. Then I returned to my station, opened my documentation file. Date, December 8th. Meeting with CEO and HR. CEO claimed Section 4.7 doesn't apply to contractors. Threatened termination effective end of December. I saved it. Then I did something I hadn't done yet. I drafted an email to the board compensation committee. The email took 2 days to write. I kept it factual, chronological, professional. I outlined the contract amendment, the rate reduction, the approval signatures. I quoted Section 4.7 in full. I noted that my contract exceeded the $100,000 threshold, that the amendment also exceeded it. I attached supporting documents: original contract with board approval signatures, first renewal with board approval signatures, proposed amendment with no board signatures. Section 4.7 of Governance Policy, November 8th Compensation Committee meeting minutes showing no discussion of contractor rates. Timeline of communications with HR and CEO. I wrote a brief summary. I am submitting this inquiry per the company's governance policies. My contractor agreement exceeds the $100,000 annual threshold specified in Section 4.7. A proposed rate reduction was presented to me without Compensation Committee approval. When I raised this concern with HR and executive leadership, I was told the policy doesn't apply to contractor agreements, despite the policy's plain language. I am respectfully requesting that the committee review this matter to ensure compliance with established governance procedures. I didn't request a specific outcome, didn't accuse anyone of wrongdoing, just presented the facts. I read the email 10 times. Then I checked the committee member list. 3 board members: Dr. Patricia Chen, Chair, Robert Walsh, and Susan Harding. Their email addresses were listed on the governance portal. I sent the email on December 12th. Subject: Contractor Agreement Inquiry, Policy Compliance. I received an automated response from Dr. Chen's office. Your message has been received. The Compensation Committee reviews all submissions confidentially. You will receive a response within 15 business days. I saved the confirmation. Then I continued working. December 14th. Victoria sent another email. Subject: Contract Status, Final Notice. As discussed in our December 8th meeting, your contract will terminate on December 31st if a signed agreement is not in place. This is your final notice. Please confirm your intentions by December 18th. I replied, I have submitted an inquiry to the Board Compensation Committee regarding the approval process. I am awaiting their response. Her reply came within an hour. The board is not involved in contractor negotiations. This is a matter between you, HR, and executive leadership. Your contract will terminate as stated unless you sign the amended agreement. I didn't respond. December 18th passed. I didn't sign. No further communication from Victoria or James. I worked through the week. Christmas shutdown was scheduled for December 23rd through January 2nd. The facility would be closed. December 22nd, my last day before the break. I completed my final inspections of the year, submitted my quality reports, locked my station, went home. I didn't know if I'd be coming back. January 2nd, the facility reopened. I arrived at 7 o'clock. My access badge worked. I entered the building, went to my station. Everything was as I'd left it. I logged into my computer, checked my email. One new message. Sender: Dr. Patricia Chen, Compensation Committee Chair. Subject: Contractor Agreement Inquiry, Policy Compliance. Sent December 29th. I opened it. Thank you for bringing this matter to the committee's attention. We have reviewed your submission and the relevant governance policies. We have also reviewed the proposed contract amendment and approval documentation. The committee has determined that Section 4.7 does apply to contractor agreements exceeding $100,000 in annual value, as the policy language makes no distinction between employment contracts and contractor agreements. Your current agreement and the proposed amendment both exceed this threshold, and therefore require committee review and approval per established policy. The proposed rate reduction was not submitted to the committee for approval. As such, it does not constitute a valid amendment to your existing contract. We have directed HR and executive leadership to maintain your current contract terms pending a formal review of contractor compensation policy at our February 7th meeting. You will be notified of any changes following that review. Thank you for your diligence in ensuring policy compliance. I read it 3 times. Then I checked the CC line. Victoria, James Morrison, Robert Walsh, Susan Harding. The entire compensation committee and executive leadership had received this response. I saved the email, printed a copy, filed it. Then I opened my work queue and started my inspections. January 3rd, Victoria sent me an email. Subject: Contract Status Update. Per the Board Compensation Committee's directive, your current contract will remain in effect at the existing rate of $75 per hour. We will follow up after the February board meeting regarding any changes to contractor compensation policy. Please let me know if you have questions. I replied, Understood. Thank you for the update. January 4th. I saw James in the facility hallway. He didn't acknowledge me. I continued to my station. January passed without incident. I worked my regular schedule, completed my inspections, submitted my reports. No one mentioned the contract dispute. February 7th arrived. Board Compensation Committee meeting day. I checked the governance portal that evening. Meeting minutes were usually posted within 48 hours. February 9th. The minutes appeared. I downloaded them. Searched for contractor compensation. Found it on page 4. Committee reviewed contractor compensation policy in light of recent governance inquiry. After discussion, committee determined that current policy language in section 4.7 is ambiguous regarding contractor versus employee agreements. Committee directed management to clarify section 4.7 to explicitly state which types of agreements require committee approval. Conduct market analysis of contractor rates before proposing any rate adjustments. Submit any proposed changes to contractor agreements exceeding $100,000 to committee for approval prior to implementation. Committee tabled discussion of specific contractor rate adjustments pending completion of market analysis. All existing contractor agreements to remain at current rates until further review. I saved the minutes. February 12th. I received an email from Victoria. Subject: Contractor agreement. No changes. Following the Board Compensation Committee meeting on February 7th, we are confirming that your contractor agreement will continue at the current rate of $75 per hour, with no changes to terms or scope. The committee has directed management to complete a comprehensive review of contractor compensation before considering any future adjustments. Thank you for your continued work. I replied, Received. Thank you. That was the end of it. March arrived. My contract continued unchanged. $75 per hour. Same scope, same responsibilities. I worked my regular schedule. The production managers continued to rely on my quality assessments. One afternoon in late March, the production manager who'd asked me about hydraulic assemblies stopped by my station. Heard you had some contract issues end of last year, he said. It was resolved. Good. We need you here. You know this line better than anyone. I nodded. He continued. Between you and me, they tried to cut corners. Glad the board stepped in. It was a policy matter. Still, not everyone would have pushed back. I didn't respond. He returned to the production floor. April 15th. Victoria sent a company-wide email. Subject: Updated governance policies. The email announced revisions to several corporate policies, including Section 4.7. I downloaded the updated policy document. Section 4.7 now read: All employment contracts and contractor agreements exceeding $100,000 in annual value must be submitted to the Board Compensation Committee for review and approval. This includes initial contracts, renewals, and material amendments. Material amendments include changes to compensation rates, scope of work, or term length. Contracts below this threshold may be approved by the CEO with HR oversight. The language was clearer, more explicit. It confirmed what I'd argued from the beginning. I saved the updated policy. May came. My contract continued without issue. June, July, August. No further discussion of rate reductions. No market analysis results. No policy changes. In September, I received a contract renewal notice for 2025. Same rate, same terms. Approval signatures: Victoria, James Morrison, Dr. Patricia Chen. All 3. I signed it, returned it to HR, continued working. Nothing dramatic, nothing public. Just policy followed. Governance respected. The way it should have been from the start.